So for those of you unfamiliar, the King's Gambit, if he takes, you put your knight up, and then you quick castle, and then you put the queen up eventually, and you have a very, very quick battery. It's kind of a reckless play, but for a guy like me that doesn't attack enough, this is the perfect way to teach me to attack better. So anyways, he takes, of course, so this is King's Gambit accepted. I don't know at his level if he even knows what's going on, but so this is the traditional King's Gambit opening. Now, he goes here because you see, he's trying to threaten. I actually could have taken according to the computer. This is interesting. So, the computer says I should have just taken because then, I would have controlled the center this way. And then, if you notice, guys, check out this. So, I would have had this too. Ooh. Now that's an interesting thing I never thought about, but instead I go up here. When I did this, I realized he could have just advanced the pawn, and then he doesn't do that, but let's see what the computer said. Yeah, the computer said, the moment I did this, I realized that the computer probably would have told him to advance the pawn like this. Anyways, if he advanced the pawn, let's see, I would have had to advance back. That's very interesting, but it wasn't the end of the world. Because again, part of what makes the King's Gambit really interesting is he doesn't have this diagonal right here because I got a knight here to protect that diagonal, that square. So let's go back here. He decides to take because he thinks he's threatening this. I retake. Here's where he goes wrong. He immediately thinks he's got a pin, but he doesn't have a pin because first of all, this can retake. Second of all, this can retake. We won't think that much ahead. So he goes here, and this is the opening trap. So for those of you wondering, why do I do this? The reason is because if we remove this piece, there's an X-ray. If my knight moves, it's a double attack. Discovered attack / double attack that I'm setting myself up to do, potentially. Now, the computer says I should have done that, so let's see what the computer says. The computer says I should have gone here, checked immediately. Let's see what happened. So, okay. So the computer, of course, decides to play a little bit more conservative. The computer is focusing on developing pieces, right? So it's not really thinking of opening traps. But okay, that's fair. If I were playing a much higher level player, I definitely should not rely on an opening trap like this. So anyways, he does the one thing that's an absolute blunder. This was the wrong knight to develop because now I just capture the knight and then it's also a double check / a discover check, and this knight is covering this crucial L square, so he's got nowhere to escape, and he can't just interpose because the knight can jump over pieces. He can't take my knight because my queen is still attacking his king. So 7-move opening King's Gambit trap. As you guys know, I started chess in November of 2023. So I'm a beginner, and one of my biggest things is that I'm not aggressive enough. So the King's Gambit is probably not a good opening when you're at the intermediate or advanced levels. But for me right now, because I don't attack enough, the King's Gambit forces me to be a little bit more vulnerable, but also a little bit more aggressive. So it's working for me now. So I'm not telling everyone to learn the King's Gambit. It's just okay for what I need. So when you're on your chess journey, make sure to figure out what you need. Are you too aggressive? Do you need to learn to be defensive? Do you think too much that you run out of time? You got to figure out what your needs are, and then how do you plug those weaknesses? Anyways, guys, a lot more to come.